So welcome back to the channel, and we will be taking a look at this part using Inventor. Now we have drawn it in 2D AutoCAD, and we also have a video out where I did this in 3D AutoCAD. So in this one we're going to be taking a look at doing it in Inventor, and I'm thinking about for my next video is just doing it in AutoCAD 3D and doing some kind of weird dimensioning things there. So if that's something that you would like to see, stay tuned for that video coming up soon. But let's jump over to Inventor and get started on this one. Okay, so here in Inventor, I'm just going to start off by selecting a new icon. I can either use this one or the one up here at the top. Either one, it does not matter. It should bring you open a dialog box asking you to specify the units. Now, unlike AutoCAD, we have to specify if this drawing is going to be in millimeters or in inches. So I'm going to choose to assume that this drawing is drawn in millimeters. So I'm going to select millimeters here. And then I'm going to select the one that says standard millimeter IPT. Right? So we're just going to double click on that one. And then we have to give Inventor a little bit of time to process and, load the menus and things of that nature. And you can see all of that happening here in the bottom left of the corner, right? So you can see that it is loading up some things. For another future video, I'm thinking of doing something with some frame generator. I don't think I've ever shown that on any of my videos, and if I did, it's been so long ago. But I think in the future, I will make a video over doing some frame generator stuff, which is quite neat, at least from a perspective of building a deck or something really quickly, or any kind of structure, I should say, that you want to build. So I might make something simple, and we'll take a look at doing something like that in Frame Generator. Okay, so it looks like Inventor is almost ready for us here. Yep, we have the ribbon change, and we do have our browser here loaded to the side. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is start off with a sketch. Always try to figure out which way that I want to create this, right? And so if you saw the 3D video that I did of this shape, I'm going to work on this XY plane because this is going to specify that this is the front view. Now here's one of those beautiful things, or things that I really like about this program other than AutoCAD. It gives me an option to kind of free sketch, right? So I can just kind of play around with this and not really specify any of the distances that I need right now. But you can notice that I am making sure that I keep these lines vertical, horizontal, and things of that nature. Okay, here at the top, I'm just going to make sure I come to that end point, do a click there, and then click here. So this is the shape that I'm going to need. Now I'll start putting my dimensions on. So I'll start with the dimension. I always try to find my longest dimension. In this case, it'll be this number here. By selecting this one and typing in 75, it's going to zoom, or I would say scale actually, it up to the highest that it needs. So I'm just going to tell it here, go ahead and zoom all. I'll zoom out just a hair more. Okay. Let's go ahead and put the rest of the dimensions on here. This one is 75 as well. We can put a dimension from here to that line here. That's going to be 50. We do have to tell it how far this is. This is 10. Remember that we do have, if I zoom in here, we have a dimension of 10 here. And then I also have another dimension of 10 here. Okay. So if you're looking at the drawings, these are all of the dimensions that I need to create a drawing of this, but you'll see that I do need 2 more dimensions, right? And they're always in reference to the center point located here. So I'm just going to do a dimension from this line to this center point. I'll come down and click here. And then what I like to do is reference this dimension here, so I'll select it and divide that number by 2. So this is one way I can do it. Another way that I can do this is I can align this midpoint with that center point. So here's the option that I'm using with a dimension, but I can also use a constraint. So I'm going to try horizontal first. So I'll select horizontal. You see my line is going across the screen horizontally. I'm going to select this end point here, or this center point I should say. And then on this line, I'm going to go right about where the midpoint is. And when I get this green dot, I'll do a left click there. And now you can see that it is constrained by this midpoint to that center point. So either one of those methods will work. If you like a dimension, go ahead and put a dimension on them. Or if you like using constraints, by all means, go ahead and use that. Let's hit the finish sketch icon here. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Let's take a look at the extrude command. Now this one has an overall width of 50. So when I bring open the dialog box here, it automatically assumes that the last number that I used here was 10. So I'm just going to change this number to 50. And then I have some selection options. Do I want it to go one direction, the other direction, symmetrical, or either asymmetrical? I always like to keep it at symmetrical as possible. Then I'll hit the OK button. Okay, so now this is the shape that I've created, right? And what I mean by that is if I have all of these located, you'll see all of my center points are basically located in the center of my object here. Let's go ahead and add a couple of more things to this. So I want to go ahead and go to fillet. I'm going to change my radius here to 25. I'm going to select these corners. And this is the exact same thing I did when I did this using 3D AutoCAD, is that it's a lot easier to go ahead and fillet these corners as opposed to drawing them inside of the sketch. Go ahead and hit OK. Now I'm ready to do my holes, right? I'm going to start with the hole command. And now I want to work on the back of this, right? I want to put my first one on the back, so I'm just going to orbit around here. And let's go ahead and move this dialog box. Okay. Now, one of those built-in things about the hole command is that I don't have to specify or have a center point here if it's concentric to something. So I can start off by selecting where I want that hole to be, right? So I want it on that face, and then I'll select the concentric reference, which is going to be located there. So it puts it in that center, and then I have to tell it the diameter of that hole. Diameter is going to be set to 25, and then it'll go through it, right? Let's go ahead and spin this around and take a look. So you see that that part is done. Let's go ahead and do the top one here. So I'll go back to the hole command. I'll select this face, and then this edge of this cylinder, and go ahead and hit OK since it's the same size hole as the last one. Alright, so everything should be done with this one. Let's go ahead and take a look at this in an isometric view. And I'm just going to spin this around until I see the word front here. Perfect. Alright, so the modeling part of this is done. Like I said, rather quickly, rather easily. And now we're able to go ahead and take a look at doing this in the drafting portion, right? So remember that I have to save this first. I'm just going to hit the save button here. It wants me to save it as another part. I just always save it as the same part that I did before, just so I don't have a million of these parts. But I'll just save it as whatever that part is, which is part number 2. It says yes, and I'll go ahead and replace it. Let's go ahead and hit the new icon again. Once the dialog box appears, we're going to go down to the drawing part. And then what I'm looking for is the ANSI millimeter IDW. Do not pick the AutoCAD one. We're going to use the Inventor drawing file, right? So ANSI millimeter. And I'm going to hit the create button. I can create my IDW rather, quickly. Let's see, I'm giving it a couple of seconds here for it to switch over. And I do apologize. My computer is running a little bit slower today, but, that's okay. All right. Now, by default, it's going to automatically assume that you want a D size. Let's go ahead and get rid of the title block here. So I'm just going to right click on that, delete that. And then I'll go to sheet 1, do a right click on it, go to edit sheet, change it to a B size, hit OK. And then I'm ready to start off by putting my views in. So I'll go with base. Let's go ahead and move this view. So I'm just going to left click and drag this view over. Looks good to me. I'll click the top view, the right side, and then here is the isometric up here. Go ahead and click OK, and it should create all of those views for us, right? Center lines and all. Let's go ahead and give myself a little bit more room here. To put center marks and things of that nature, they're all going to be located here, the center lines. So I can go ahead and put these 2 center marks on here. And what I tend to do with my center marks is that if I have it here and it goes through this bottom part here, I'll just go ahead and drag that through like so. Do the exact same thing on this view. Here, I have to put a center mark, a center line, so I'm just going to use the bisecting one here and select that line and that one. Now, I do like to show that little spacing in between now, so I'll tend to try to stretch these lines out a little bit until I get it to appear. Looks like it's popping in at the top there. Okay, but that should be good enough for what we need, and if that's not, I'll shrink it back down, and it looks like it's actually a little bit too long. I would put the one behind here, but it could get in the way if I'm dimensioning back here. But for us, we don't have to dimension that, so I'll go ahead and put it there, but just keep in mind that it's going to overlap. All right, dimensions are easy as well. We're just going to use the dimension command here. We'll go ahead and select from this line here to this line. And let's just go ahead and put all of our dimensions on. We'll worry about formatting this thing a little bit later. So I'm going to put this dimension on, and this is more or less a reference dimension, and I'll tell you why here when we put the other dimension on. And the reason why I call that a reference dimension is because when I dimension from here to the center of here, you'll notice that it's the exact same number as my other one there. So I really don't need that dimension on this one. Let's go ahead and put the line here to here. And I'm trying to think, is there anything else that I need to put on here? Well, we can put the 10 on this one. But I'll come back and delete that 51 in here in a second. Do the exact same dimensions kind of happening up here at the top. Let's put a dimension from here to here. And now keep in mind that if I want that dimension to be on the outside here, my dimension, this next dimension, I'm going to select this line first. And then this one, and it should kick it out there to the left. I'm trying to just kind of look through this and see if there's any other dimensions that I'm kind of missing as I'm kind of going through this. This should be fine. Let's go ahead and throw a couple of radial dimensions. And then we'll throw this should be a diameter dimension, and you see it showing a radial dimension, but I can do a right click on this one, change the dimension type to diameter, and you should be able to get it. Do the exact same thing up here at the top. So I have a diameter dimension there, put a radial dimension there, and put a dimension from here to here. Okay, so this should be everything that we need as far as dimensioning wise. What I'm going to do next is go ahead and adjust my dimension style. So remember, that's going to be underneath the manage, and then we're going to hit the style editor. And this is where, depending on how fast or slow your machine is, how long will it take to complete this. But when it's done, you should get a dialog box that looks like this, right? So we're going to take a look at the ANSI standard one. The first thing I'm going to do is going to get rid of those trailing zeros. So I'm going to uncheck this box. I'll come and take a look at it. I think it's underneath the text one is the one that I'm looking for. Yes. So underneath the text ones, I have my horizontal dimensions going the right direction. My aligned or angled dimensions, I want them going that direction. And my vertical ones, I'm going to have them going this direction. Now everything else I'm just going to leave the same, so we'll go ahead and hit save and close, and all of these dimensions should automatically update for us, right? Now I can also adjust the size of this. This is one thing I do like about this program. So if you see these views look a little small to you, if you go find the first view that you brought in, which is this one, so this is the parent view, and you can see that it is set to 1:1. Let's go ahead and make this a little bit bigger. It looks like it's too big there. Let's say it's 1.5:1. So we'll increase it just a little bit. So all of these will increase with it, and I'm just going to kind of scoot some things around here. And you can see we can kind of, modify everything that we need here, basically on the fly. Last dimensions I need to adjust is sitting up here at the top. Okay. And that looks really good to me as well. So, all right. So I'm not going to make this video too long for you guys. I want to thank you for watching and tuning in, and thank you for helping the channel grow. If you like seeing this kind of content, or you have any other ideas that you want to see me do in the future, please let me know down there in the comments, or even if you like the videos that I'm doing, please let me know that as well. All right, so thank you for watching, and I really do appreciate you tuning in.